All right, Navin, this is one of my favorite topics that I think is really important. It's about influencers. Sometimes they come in a second, sometimes they last a lifetime. When I speak, a lot of times I talk about my grandfather being a big influencer for me early on. My grandmother, my mom, my aunt came from Kiev years ago. They came to Canada. And when I was about five, he used to bring me for walks in the park in Montreal. And one day I asked him, I called him Zeta. I said, Zeta, how do you know all the people that you talk to? And he said, well, that guy over there, one day I smiled at him and he came over to me and smiled at me. And then someone else saw us smiling and came over and smiled to us. And I'm five. I'm thinking, well, life's pretty simple. I just got to smile at people and whatnot. And as you get older, you realize it almost is that simple, if you will, to create an emotional and a physiological, whatever difference with somebody just by a smile. And with that, we've all had many influencers, but could you share maybe two or three that have been influential in your life?
Yeah, my father was probably my most influential person. He's no longer with us. He passed a few years back, but um, I recognize that then, but I recognize it even more now. He was a smiling person and the person who walked in a room and lit up the room and was always helping others to the point where I would ask, Dad, why are you doing so much for them? Well, they need their basement painted, so I'm going over there after work and I'm going to help them paint. Like he was that type of person. Um, and I didn't understand it for a while, but I think I just told you I've been evolving and maturing, and I realize it now that it just gave him so much fulfillment, and he was at peace with life. And when you're at peace with life and understand, then helping is not work. Helping
Right.
is like part of life, and this might be something that's just common sense to people listen out there, but for me, it's a recent realization. So he's influenced me a lot.
Hmm. I love it. I love that. One or two other people?
I'm gonna say my two teenage daughters because I'm flipping now the script and I'm saying how do I need to show up? And so I would say some of my most challenging years were the last few years, which was losing my father, the struggle of multiple startups in every single way, from leadership changes, run out of money, you name it. I have plenty of stories, and I'm very open about it. So dealing with that and then being a role model, a father, and understanding that this is their childhood and how are you going to show up. And so I've just learned so much. And I want to bring up something. There's a recent time where I was in a mood. It was like a stressful mood, and my daughter was on a walk in our neighborhood, and she waved to me. That's all she did. And I looked at her, and my mood completely changed, and it just reminded me of what. So that to me is extremely influential, and so I'm just grateful for those relationships I have with my two daughters.
Yeah, yeah, thanks for sharing that. There's a commercial about something where it shows the little kids being dropped off in school and they say, I love you, Dad. And he's kind of listening. And then more and more and more, and then he finally realizes that's a special moment. The little daughter turns around while she's going into school saying, I love you, Dad, and waves. You just reminded me of that.
Oh,
And sometimes you could just let it go, but it's the most important thing in the world, you know?
it is. It really is. So yeah, those would be a few.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.